Hello, ladies and gentlemen, it is your host with the most, White Boy 7th Street, with an incredibly athletic, impressive performance, WMD Ground War Domination, and we're gonna start off this game with a triple kill. It doesn't get much better than that. Well, if it was a quad kill, maybe, but like I said, hopefully you guys enjoy this gameplay. I get 73 kills using the UAV, Napalm Strike, and the Mortar Team, so a lot of kills with the low kill streaks, taking out the Stakeout on WMD. It's gonna be a good old time, so enjoy the gameplay, and I hope you enjoyed this episode, this fantastic episode of High School Stories. I uploaded one earlier this week, and the people went crazy. They absolutely love High School Stories, and I will include that link in the description just in case you missed it. It was 30 minutes of, I wouldn't say high school stories. It was more of a movie. It was more of a biography. Harry Potter episode number 8, if you catch my drift. It was a good one, so check that out if you missed it or if you want to see it. And yeah, so this story didn't really take place in high school per se because it took place last year, but my old high school stories, some of them have taken place before high school times, some of them after. That was a bullshit death, and you know, I'm just trying to relive my glory days, so let me call it High School Stories, all right? For good old time's sakes, with the Black Ops 1 taking out the Stakeout. Anyways, so this happened last year at PAX Prime, which takes place in Seattle, an awesome city. I love going there for PAX each and every year. So after the event, PAX, if you guys don't know, is a gaming event. It has a lot of upcoming games, indie games. It's just an event for gamers. And so we went there, and after the event, we were going out to eat with a few friends. Now, we also had marijuana. We had weed because it's Seattle and it's legal over there. And so we decided to celebrate and partake in the renaissance, if you will, the weed renaissance. So we got some weed, a lot of good weed, and we were a little late going to the dinner because every time we go to Seattle, there's a lot of good food, and I like food. Food is good. So we go there. I should have got that knife. That would have been badass if I would have got that knife kill in midair. So we smoke a little bit before we go out to eat. They have excellent seafood in Seattle, and I don't really like seafood, but while you're in like a city by the coast, you can get some really good seafood. So I'm taking advantage of it, getting some crab, and we're going to this fancy restaurant. So long story short, we smoke kind of a bit, and you know, it took a little bit, and we might have been, I don't know, 15, maybe 30 minutes late. And so we get to the restaurant finally, and actually, before I tell the restaurant story, I'm going to tell you how we went about obtaining the marijuanas, because it was surprisingly a little bit more difficult than I initially expected in Seattle, where it's completely legal. And it's a little weird for me because where I'm from, you can go to jail for having weed, but in Colorado and in Seattle, it's, you know, completely open and legal. And I think that's the way it will be here pretty shortly in America. And anyways, so it was a little weird. We finally end up getting the courage to ask that was a dirty kill. We end up asking the hotel connoisseur. I don't know if that's the proper word. Isn't connoisseur someone that is like really good at something? Like I'm really good at Black Ops 1, as you can see in this beastie gameplay. So we ask the person at the front desk of my freaking hotel where we can find some, and he said just go to the main street where there's all the bars and stuff. So we end up taking a cab to the main street. We ask the cab driver, he doesn't know where we can find any, and we end up going into this bar, which I'm not a bar person. I don't go into bars really. This is like one of my first time in a bar, besides when my mom would bring me to the bar sometimes back in the day when I was like, I don't know, 10 or something when she couldn't find a babysitter when my grandma wasn't there. Anyways, so I don't really like bars or anything like that. So we end up, after having a Corona, asking the bartender, and he says, you know, I don't know personally, but you can smell it all in here, and it did reek of the marijuana. So we asked a few people after sipping on that Corona for like 10 minutes, and unfortunately we couldn't find any there, and we just end up going to, we should have just went to Craigslist in the beginning, because we just called, actually we called one dude, and he was very difficult. He was like, oh, where you stay at? Is that a nice hotel? Tell me more about the hotel. And like he really wanted to know a lot about the hotel. I don't know if he didn't trust me or something, but he was like, I don't know, he was acting very strange and very odd about the whole situation, and I did not appreciate that. It was already awkward for me enough, because it's a new thing like this. Usually when I smoked back on 7th Street, I just knew, I just knew the neighborhood drug dealer, or a few of them, because there's, and anyways, that was a nice panic C4 to get that kill. I was gonna go down anyways, but I wasn't going down without a fight. So this one guy was being very difficult, but then we called this other guy, and he was like, yeah, no problem. And he looked exactly like me. Like, he had long hair, a little bit of a beard, kind of a hippie, and the weird thing about this is he was driving a Ford Taurus. If you guys don't know, I had my first car was a Ford Taurus, and it was kind of weird just looking at this guy. Oh, I'm going off right now. And I was like, this could have been me if I moved to Seattle and, I don't know, and never found YouTube or something. Who knows? But he had this, like, I don't know what it was. It was like 2-3 pounds of weed, and he just literally got a handful, and it was like, yeah, that's good. And it was probably more than we paid for, but it was really good weed, and he was very cool about it. We talked a little bit, and I thought I was going to get kidnapped for a little bit. I made sure the door was unlocked. I don't know. So we met in the hotel parking lot. He gets us some weed, and it's all good. So we're set for PAX. The whole time in Seattle, we have a bunch of weed. We have a lot of good food to eat. So it's a good time. We're on vacation. We have this hotel on the water, on the ocean, which is pretty sweet. And yeah, so we smoke before we go to the restaurant, and that ends up making us a little bit late, about 30 minutes. And as soon as we go into the restaurant, we said, oh, we're waiting for a party. And oh, that was a nice tomahawk. And they're like, oh, we know who you are. Okay. Like, it felt kind of bad, because they knew that they were waiting for us, and I felt really bad that we had other people waiting. But I don't care I don't know why they have to wait for everyone to be there. We told them we might be a little bit late. You guys can start without us. But like, the guy, he was like, oh yeah, we know who you're talking about. So I felt like a little weird about that. So we need to make an excuse why we're late, or maybe we don't have to, because we're legends, but we end up doing it, and we end up making we tell the story to the entire table, and I don't know how we got away with this, because I'm super baked at the time. I'm not even talking at this point. I'm just looking down at my phone, giggling, and the story we came up with was on the way home, or on the way to the hotel from the event, this guy on a scooter ran over an old lady, and the ambulance came, and the street was blocked off, and we had and we were so, I wasn't very convincing, but they believed it. They totally they bought it, and it was so awkward. And a few months later, we ate with Mr. I Try Hard, and a few months later we go to Colorado, and he asked us, or the story came up somehow, and he totally bought it, and he was like, you fuckers, you assholes. Like, I think the whole table believed it, and yeah, so that was pretty funny that they believed it. Another story, same time in Seattle, we have another friend who doesn't really smoke. too much, maybe once or twice. And I think the one time that he did smoke back in the day, it was like laced with crack or something. He said something about some white stuff on it. I don't know, but ooh, a double C4. This is a sweet gameplay. So I say because he's an amateur, like he hasn't smoked before, and I know some people freak out when they smoke, and I probably shouldn't have said this to him, but I was like, whatever you do, don't freak out. And I think that was the worst thing that I could possibly say to him, because he started freaking out. And yeah, I'm not gonna go into any more. It wasn't too bad. It was just a little he was just freaking out a little bit, but he was like, half the time he was laughing and half of the time he was freaking out. So it was, I don't know if he was trolling us or what, and that was pretty funny. So yeah, guys, that's my high school stories. If you enjoyed it, leave a like on this video, and I'll try to come up with some more stories. I'll go into the memory bank, see if I can find any up there. But I hope you enjoyed it. I appreciate the support, and if you missed last week's episode, I'm going to include that link in the description down below. Be sure to check it out, because it is 30 minutes of awesomeness. Alright guys, thanks for watching, and I will see you later. Bye bye.